SpectreVision Radio.
Welcome. E cabo aquaba. Bienvenido. Sac pasewa guan. What's up, yo? Welcome to A Little Juju podcast, the Africana Ethereal podcast diving deep into the magical, the spiritual, and of course, the ancestral tools that can help get us free. And I am your host, Juju Bae, healer, Oshun priestess, Oreyeye, author of the Book of Juju. You should have your copy right now. Get your copy. And of course, your favorite big cousin conjurer. And I'm so excited that we're back, y'all. I actually can't believe that we're back already. And as you can see, we're doing things a little bit differently this season because y'all get to see me, period. Like, I know y'all have been asking, where's a little Juju? What's been going on? You need to do your podcast. And honestly, y'all know podcasting is a lot. It was a lot on me, but this time around, I feel so grounded. I feel so ready. I feel like the team I'm working with, like this is the season, y'all. I'm telling you now, I'm speaking into existence. This is the season. So we're back. We have a beautiful set. And I'm locked in with y'all, okay? I'm here for now. So we're going to get into later how y'all can keep this podcast going with your support. Yes, your prayers, but also your coin on that Patreon. But we're going to get into that. I'm just so excited. I feel like last time I was podcasting, things were different. My last episode was in August of 2024. And things have shifted quite a bit since August of 2024. Let's see. AI is AIing. It wasn't even that serious last year. Trump has been trumping. He was already trumping, but trumping. He's trumping now. So Trump's trumping. There is things going on. The government shutdowns, child. We done lost Assata Shakur. We done lost my man D'Angelo. Rest in peace. We got sinners. Okay. Yay for sinners. So a lot of things have shifted, and y'all tag me in things all the time, like, oh my God, I wish I knew what Juju thought about this. Now y'all get to hear me speak on what we need to speak on, because I've had a lot of thoughts, and it is actually probably a good thing that I was on hiatus because the things I've been thinking about what's going on is it's spooky season, and it ain't even October no more. It's spooky season. But I will say, this past Hoodoo Heritage Month, I know we're in November now, but I have to give a shout out to the Hoodoos out there that have been doing amazing work. Before we get into all of my thoughts and things I want to talk about, I feel like I need to update y'all on just what I've been up to. I feel like the Book of Juju has taken on a life of its own. Like, I feel so blessed to have had the opportunity to not only write a book, but that the book has been doing so well. Like, I've officially reached a point of royalties. I think I talked about this maybe last season. I don't remember, but it's a big deal for an author to reach royalty status, because a lot of times authors, they sell their book, they put their heart and soul into it, and then not enough people buy it so that the book is actually able to feed them later. So with books, essentially you get an advance. That's just like, here's some money to write the book. You have to pay us that money back in order for us to pay you. So the fact that the Book of Juju has gotten to the place where it can actually be a source. Oh, sorry, she just moved. The fact that the Book of Juju has been able to take on this life of her own. People are listening to the audiobook. It is reaching people that I never thought. I just want to say thank you to all of y'all who got the book, who shouted the book out, who have done book clubs about the book. Sometimes I'm like, not y'all reading me. Why are y'all reading me? So I just feel so excited about that. So yeah, I've been touring still with the Book of Juju, and I am working on a new book, and we'll get into that later. I'm not even ready to talk about it, because what I mean by working on a new book is that I'm thinking about it. I haven't wrote a damn thing, but as the writers know, the first step is thinking about what you want to write about, and I'm thinking really hard about what I want to write about, and I'm reading. So that is how I'm working on a book. What else have I been up to? I feel like I've been settling into New York. It has been a journey for me. This was not, I said this before, this was not the place that I had on my this is where I plan to live list. I moved to New York for love, but I think in my experience of being here for love, I found my own lane, or I found like what it is that I want to do, feeling connected to people, reconnecting with people, making new friends. So I have to give New York her tens. I have to give her a tens. You know, she definitely initiated me that first year and a half, but now I feel like we're locked in. Now I do leave New York very often, but I think that's what I have to do as just someone who has deep Southern roots. Like I gotta go to the South. I do have to make my escape to see my mama in Virginia, but then I always come back. You know, I always am in Maryland, but New York has truly, she's changing me for the best. Someone on TikTok recently was like, no shade, but like your New York era is your cuntiest era. And I'd have to agree. I would have, New York deserves her tens. That's why we need to us transplants, we need to lock in and really make sure that we're not just extracting from this place, but that we are giving to New York. We are giving her her flowers. We are showing up. We are supporting people who are actually from New York and not just here taking. And that's what she's been sharing with me. So I'm sharing it with y'all as I'm here. So I think once I started to really tap into that, she's like, okay, here your thing. So me in New York and me in Brooklyn, we locked in. Yeah, so I've been doing more misas lately, and misas, I used to do misas all the time back in the day. My OG listeners know I used to throw a seance every weekend. Like I felt like I was addicted to like possession and spiritualism. But I finally have found myself back in that realm. I actually found a place in New York where I am with other practitioners and IAs who do regular misas and have been doing them for a while. It has been such a beautiful healing space for me. So I'm also like finding spiritual community here, which has been wonderful. But I also have been hosting my own misas again. And if you ever been to one of my misas, child, they get rowdy. Like the spirits that come in those misas, they be loud, they be aggressive, they be wanting to dance, they be wanting to drink and smoke. Like it's so fun. But essentially they are spiritualism spaces that when you call on the honorable ancestors that you have around you, you call on your dearly departed, your spirit guides, they come forward and use the mediums who attend the misa as a mouthpiece to share messages that need to be shared, downloads, their advice, their thoughts on the ways of the world, just everything. The spirits come through. They have opinions, they have thoughts, they have ideas, they have personalities. It can get a little crazy sometimes, but I really want this space to be a holder of some of the messages that I received from like my departed, from my dead, from my guides, from my Orisha, from everything, because they have been talking so much. Like the spirits have been so loud. And I think that points to, you know, where we are in society, where we are collectively. The ancestors have been like, what are y'all doing? What's going on? It's time to lock in. So I want to have a Little Juju podcast be a space that I feel like we are able to spiritually lock in, because it is that serious. Like it is that serious outside. And so part of me sometimes feels like, you know, look at the world, look at what's going on. And I got the nerve to have a podcast. Like what is this really what's going to do anything? Like, shouldn't I just be like in hiding somewhere? And no, like, so it's shown me that regardless of what's happening around you, what's happening politically, socially, we still have work to do if we want to successfully maneuver what we're going to maneuver. And so this is a part of my work. So that's why I'm offering it to you in this way. And I just pray and continue to ask that y'all be on this ride with me, but that it also moves you to do your own work, because I need you, we need you, they need you, everyone, we all have to do our part. So let's do our part. Now, speaking of the importance of doing our part and spirituality in the work, I want to get into our very first segment of Ogun's Internet. Now, Ogun is the Orisha of technology. So Ogun's Internet is where I talk about what I have seen on the internet, what y'all talk about on Twitter and TikTok, and just what I come across that is relevant to pop culture or what's going on. So Ogun's Internet, what y'all be talking about on the God of Technology's internet. So Hoodoo Heritage Month did just pass. I would be remiss to not mention Hoodoo Heritage Month. I know it's over, but there have been some amazing practitioners and hoodoos doing fab work online, in person. Jada K. Story, J.T. Perry, James Stewart, Lissa Mason, Emmanuel Bass Knight. Who am I missing? Sarah McKeeba. And Taylor Crumpton. And I'm sorry if I miss you because I see you. Everyone is doing that. Hoodoo Historian. I'm going to keep doing this. The hoodoos have been showing up in Alpha Hoodoo Heritage Month this past month. And I know in the past that I used to be a lot more active, I think, on socials and posting and education. And I think with the podcast being back, I'll sort of find my footing again. But sometimes this past Hoodoo Heritage Month, I was feeling a little stressed because I was like, oh no, I don't have posts about hoodoo. Like I don't have the things. I'm not posting on Instagram. But I remembered that that's not my work to do, and that what is my work is to amplify like the good things that I've seen other people do and shout them out. Because a lot of the conjurers that I've named, plus others whose name may be slipping my mind right now, showed up not just having the post, but just doing the education, doing the on the groundwork. Hess Love, Chesapeake Hoodoo Society, doing in-person events, honoring ancestors, educating people, just really standing up for the wonderful Black American spiritual cultural system that is African American hoodoo. Some things that I saw on Ogun's Internet though, because I had to start with the positive. Y'all was on Ogun's Internet, not y'all, but y'all. Y'all was on Ogun's Internet talking about hoodoo, particularly TikTok, in a way that I'm gagged. I'm gagged. The things, the lies, the deception, the mess, the tomfoolery that I saw about my beloved practice of hoodoo, I had a conniption. There was a point when I started to do this work as a public-facing hoodoo in like 2017, where the dominant narrative that many hoodoos who were public-facing and behind the scenes were trying to address was that hoodoo was not a Black practice, or that it was not a Black American practice. And we fought really hard to remind people that, and particularly white people, that hoodoo was ours. Because of the organizing and stuff that we did, I think everyone is clear that hoodoo is a Black practice, because that was deliberate work that was done. So now that we have that out the way, now it's Black, it's my people. It's my people. It's the Negroes. It's the Sulanis. I don't know who it is. Are talking about how hoodoo is not only demonic. Hold on. Actually, I have a list, child, because I was gagged. The first thing that I saw that was an absolute fracking echo bullshit, that, hold on, now I can't even find it in my notes. Oh, okay. The first thing I saw was hoodoo isn't real if it's in a book.
Wait a minute, hold up.
So now real practitioners can't have books or can't put information in books. If you think hoodoo can't be in books, I need you to talk to Zora Neale Hurston, who was an anthropologist, who was a practitioner in hoodoo, who went through hoodoo ritual and actually wrote about that. A lot of the things that we know about hoodoo folklore is through Zora Neale Hurston's work. She was a writer. So you're telling me that real hoodoo isn't in books. So you're saying Zora Neale Hurston isn't a real hoodoo. You must be stopped. I'm not even going to get too deep in that because not too much on Mama Zora. The second thing I saw is that hoodoo isn't a religion. Now, I think that this can be debated because hoodoo some people see hoodoo as like a cultural system. Some people view it as a lore. Some people view it as a lot of things. Some people, though, hoodoo is their religion. So you can't say that hoodoo for someone is not their practice or is not their religion. It might not be your religion, but you can't say that hoodoo is not a religion to somebody. But I just saw a lot of creators just saying that like this isn't a religion, it's a practice. You can have other religions and be a hoodoo. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. But how can you tell someone that hoodoo is not a religion when it is rooted in spirituality, when it is rooted in having a God, when it is rooted in prayer? Does that not make it a religion? It has belief systems. Why is that not a religion? Okay, the next thing I saw that made no damn sense. Oh, hoodoo is an open practice. I don't even see how people are saying this. Hoodoo is very much a closed practice. And by closed practice, I mean it is a practice that is not just like you can go to a church and join a church and now you are now a member of that church. You can get baptized and now you are, a Christian. Hoodoo does not necessarily work in that same way. You can't just say, any person just can't be like, oh, I practice hoodoo, now I'm a hoodoo. No, it's closed. You have to have some kind of, whether it's ethnic, spiritual, some kind of connection to the practice that would make you a part of it. You have to go through some kind of, which will get to my next point, initiatory process. Now, people say that hoodoo does not have initiations. Yes, it does. Now, it may not always be initiations that look like other African spiritual traditions that are very clearly initiations. Like I'm an Oshun priest. That means that I traveled to Nigeria and went through an initiation that took a few days, and I had to do things. I had to wear things. I had to say things, had to eat things. Things had to happen. Okay. That can happen in hoodoo. Now, it may not happen in that way that is more obvious. So for people will think that hoodoo is not initiatory. Some hoodoos actually have gone through initiation. And if you had my book, you would actually know that. Because if you believe that hoodoo could be in books, as I mentioned before, Zora Neale Hurston talks extensively about different hoodoo rituals and initiations that she went through. So it really depends on the lineage and the practitioner. So you can't say that it is open necessarily, and you cannot say that it is not initiatory, because some hoodoo practices are initiatory. The last piece that has really been grinding my gears, trust me, there's more, but we'd be here all day if I was to just talk about this. The last piece that I see is that hoodoo needs the Bible to be hoodoo. And that is simply not true. Y'all, yes, the Psalms, the Bible, the Black church, especially Baptist churches, especially Pentecostals, but not just that. They are very immersed in hoodoo. As we know, the founder of the Kojic church was a conjure man. Now this, of course, as I always say, this is not going to be on Kojic.com. If you got a Kojic auntie, don't ask her or say, the founder, Bishop C.H. Mason, was actually a Juju man, because they will not believe you. That is not, they can't talk about that, okay? But he was. Research has shown us, anthropologists have shown us, it is very clear he was a conjure man. But that does not mean that if someone is not using scripture in the Bible that they can't be a hoodoo practice. Let's remember what hoodoo is. And it's so funny now that I feel like I have to give a content warning by saying that we have ancestors who were enslaved and brought to the U.S. But for some reason, and this is going to have to be another episode, people are saying that all Black people are just indigenous to America. I can't go there. But I'm just going to say that if you're listening to this work and me, that we have ancestors who came from West Africa and Central Africa primarily. It's just the facts. So we have ancestors who came from West and Central Africa who were brought all over the Caribbean, who were brought all over the United States. Okay. The ones who were brought to the United States, they had belief systems, they had ideas, they had gods, they had medicinal practices, they had work. These were civilized cultures, okay? They were brought and enslaved to the U.S. When they reached the United States, when they reached Turtle Island, when they reached this soil, they had to consider that there were their belief systems had to be shifted a little bit. Because wait, I'm on a different land. I'm with different plant matter. The medicine that I use, it may be a little bit different medicine here. I have to get to know the lay of the land. I'm also enslaved, an enslaved person. Like, I'm in slavery. So I also have to think about, how do I address this level of trauma that I did not have to address in the same way? Because not that there was no trauma in West and Central Africa. It was being traumatized. Trauma is a human experience. But the level of trauma that happened, particularly in chattel slavery in the Southern United States, they had to shift their belief system. They had to shift what their God looked like. They had to shift how they understood birthing babies. They had to shift what plant matter they had to figure out what plant was poisonous and what weren't. They had to shift how they would go about praying and worshiping and celebrating. And yes, some of that was translated into Black Christian identity. But there were people who also came from West Africa who were not Christian. They were Muslim. And they kept they kept Allah, they kept the practices that they had from West Africa here, but it still transformed. And even their Islam had to interact with Christianity because that was the dominant, it's particularly Protestantism particularly was the dominant religion in the American South. So why do you think that hoodoo has to be biblical in order for it to work when it was literally created under the most duress that any humans have probably ever experienced in the history of at least American history? Why does it need the Bible when there are people who are actually trying to get away from the Bible in order to tap into their ancestral traditions, and they do it through hoodoo? But not only that, it completely erases people that were Muslim. So we talk about the ring shouts a lot in hoodoo. And the ring shout is like a counterclockwise movement or dance that you will even still see in the Low Country. And they go in a counterclockwise, they pray, they shuffle their feet, they clap. It's a way of worship. And they move in this circle together while someone is singing. Some people may be beating certain instruments. And this is something that was descended from slavery times. Now, there's actually some literature that says that this ring shout, we talk about it being rooted in a Christian aspect, but I was actually watching a video that was saying that this counterclockwise movement was actually could have descended from the Muslim, and I'm going to look at my notes here because I want to get this right, the ritual circling of the Kaaba in Mecca called the Tawaf. So that same movement that Muslim pilgrims do in Mecca, the Tawaf, could have been what inspired the aspect of the ring shout that was happening during slavery. And the word shout could have come from the Arabic term shawat, which means a single run. Do not say that the Bible is the only way to be a hoodoo. Whether you are practice Islam, whether you are a Christian, whether you are neither, your hoodoo is your hoodoo. If you are connected to ancestral traditions, Black American ancestral traditions, you could be, I'm not saying every Black American person is necessarily a hoodoo, but you've interacted with hoodoo and you are still practicing. You are still a viable practitioner, and it does not have to center around Jesus Jerome Christ. And no shade, because I love Jesus Jerome. I love him. That's my road dog. I still talk to him. We cool. We still locked in. But it is not, I don't just have Jesus Jerome Christ in my arsenal. Okay? Jesus Jerome Christ is a tool. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a way of a hoodoo knows that you can use the Bible. A Bible is a book of incantations. Okay? You use what you have at your disposal. That is what our ancestors did, and that's what we need to be doing. So I just had to tell y'all, stop getting on Ogun's internet, and if we're going to make a hoodoo, stop getting on John Henry's internet and spewing this mess. And it's particularly the TikTok girls. Stop. I'm not going to belabor this point. Trust me, I will talk about it for the rest of the season. But I had to address that. Next topic. Where are we with time? So y'all, the second thing I want to talk about for Ogun's internet, I came across this article. Now, I came across this maybe a few months ago, but it was from Afropunk, and they were making a claim about digital hoodoo. And of course, anything hoodoo, I have to click and see what they're talking about. And particularly because Afropunk is talking about. Side note, have we noticed that just hoodoo is just kind of it's feeling mainstream now in a way that it just wasn't before. And I think that this is really beautiful. It also freaks me out. And one of the reasons why I'm freaked out is what I saw on Afropunk. So they were talking about digital hoodoo, and they started to talk about the world of like NFTs. Now, I am a Luddite, okay? I don't understand most things that happen on Hokuns today. I don't know. I barely know how to work my iPhone. So when I get into the world of like AI or even NFTs and virtual reality, my brain goes flatlined. So basically what an NFT is, for those of you who don't know, it's called a non-fungible token. I don't even know if that's how you say the word. Fungible? I don't know. A non-fungible token. And you have to think of it as if it's like a certificate. I saw someone describe it like that on Reddit. An NFT is like a certificate. And imagine you have a certificate that says, this book is mine. Okay. And no one else can take this book from me because my certificate says so. And if you want this book, you can have a copy of it, but you'll never have a certificate. You will get a certificate, but the certificate will say, this is mine, but I have an aspect of the original owner's book. I don't even know if that was clear, but that's how I kind of was explained, and that's what it is. So think about that. So this article is talking about NFTs and how people are building these worlds, this digital worlds, where there are a bunch of tokens or certificates around like building altars, right? Building altars in these worlds, doing rituals in these worlds. I'm like squinting my eyes so hard because like I'm trying to explain it to y'all, but it's still processing for me. So there's these digital worlds where people are doing things, they're living their lives virtually, right? And that there's Black women creators and different creators who are talking about hoodoo, who are sharing ancestral knowledge and research. They are building NFT altars and doing things online. Now, the thing with the Afropunk article, I don't think that this on the surface is a bad thing, because essentially, I do believe in and understand the concept of world building. It's just a little bit odd for me because I'm not into that world, so I don't get it. But if you are one of the NFT girls, like, please feel free to reach out, get in the comments, talk to me, share this with me. But essentially, we are infusing the metaverse with sacred ritual storytelling so that it can preserve the Black imprint in the physical and digital world. So these worlds create access to Black art, Black music, and creative materials without the middleman. And I'm actually just going to quote someone who I saw on Instagram who talked about this. And I think that what she feels, or this person feels, really sums up how I felt about it. So this is from Mythsuka on IG. They said, I would love to have open dialogue about the power of Black folk in tech, but also the ways that technology like this goes against our ancestral principles in many ways. VR and the technology used to create it oftentimes extracts directly from the land in an abusive way. Unfortunately, it has also been a major contributor to class divisions due to things like this only being accessible to a small amount of people. I believe that ancestral veneration should always bring you closer to the land, your body, and your physical community, and that's how you connect in spirit. So it's hard for me to wrap my head around who the audience for this type of work actually is. Now, I don't think that the reason that I didn't like the Afropunk article is that it wasn't clear. It said it had these random artists that they said were doing things in the NFT world, and they would link them. All of the links didn't link to anyone. It didn't link anywhere. It kind of actually felt like this was an AI article that they sort of threw together because they know that hoodoo is popular. They didn't really talk much about why it's digital hoodoo. They didn't get into that. The only thing that they said was it's hoodoo because hoodoo is a practice of using what you have. And so what we have now is technology. So we're using it. And I don't think that that is the only qualifier of what something means to be a hoodoo practice, because we're using what we have. And I don't know if building an altar in the metaverse is hoodoo, you know, because hoodoo is actually a very intimate, relational, communal. I will even add in-person practice. I mean, I think that has shifted a bit because we do have more technology. I'm just not sure about how I feel about digital hoodoo and even like the AI divinations that people are doing, like not getting readings, but being able to ask AI to be a diviner or interpret spiritual messages for you. I'm not quite on board with that. And I don't know if I just sound like an old lady or if I'm trying to preserve what I think these practices show us, which is the importance of like land, nature, and community. Does the digital world, how is online hoodoo, how does virtual reality support the land? How does it support nature? How does it support community? Or like this person Mitsuka said on Instagram, how is it extracting from? And I think a lot of the things that we have to pay attention to is how, even if you use AI or assistive AI at least, which sure, I think is helpful, but how much of it are we going to allow to completely take over our lives, to take over our work, but most importantly, take over our spirit? I don't think that AI and virtual reality and the metaverse can take over a spirit. Now, there is a spirit of technology. There are spirits exist in everything. But is that the primary space that we want to be building? Is that the community that we want to prioritize? I don't. Again, all the tech girlies who are fans of the show, get me hip, talk to me about its importance. I think that there is some value, but I just think that we have to be careful. And so Afropunk just sort of uplifting it. I was like, y'all have never talked about hoodoo before. You didn't link any practitioner. You didn't link anything. The links don't work. It feels like AI wrote this. So that's why I didn't like it. So sorry, Afropunk, y'all didn't eat with that. But hopefully we'll just see where all this stuff is taking us. But I'm staying far away from it as possible. All right, y'all, let's take a quick break to pay the light bill and we'll be right back. So y'all, you know that I love a little Juju podcast and I love you. And it is a labor of my love, but it is labor nonetheless. Time, energy, research, teams, equipment is not free. Okay. So I love your prayers. I love your affirmations. I love that y'all tag me. You tag Little Juju Podcast. You tell your friends. You tell your family. You listen to you tell your grandma. You listen with her. I appreciate all of that, and that feeds me, and that does feed the show. But what I really need is your coins. Okay, so if you are able, if you have the capacity, I would love for you to join me over on the Patreon. Patreon is where you can give $7 a month, which will support a Little Juju podcast. All the equipment stuff, helping my team out, just everything that I need for the show. This helps to ensure that we don't have to keep taking them long breaks that we keep taking, and that this can be a consistent practice, that it can be something that is sustainable. So with $7 a month, you can help make the show sustainable. I have some higher tiers too. If you want to join the higher tiers, you will not just be supporting a Little Juju podcast, but you get a lot of extras. I teach classes, divination classes every month. People are like, how do you learn this card divination? I've been teaching classes every month. You get reading of the month, discount reading slots. Like there's a lot that goes on the Patreon. Discord chat, private Discord chat. So if you're wanting to join the Juju Bae community, come on over to Patreon, support the podcast for $7 a month, or one of those higher tiers to really get your good juju. So I just want to shout out all of my new and old patrons. Thank you all so much for your blessing and sharing in the energy of exchange and prosperity with me. So as you share the energy of abundance with me, I share it back to you tenfold. As you are helping me achieve my dreams, my prayer is that you achieve yours, and that you have the funds, the resources, the time, the energy, the money, the friends to do what it is that you were put here to do. So thank you all so much, and I'll see you on the Patreon. So we have a new segment this season that's called Cod Liver Oil. And I don't know if y'all know about cod liver oil, but I grew up with elders who had to drink cod liver oil, who had to have a spoonful, and it was supposed to heal you. So this is an ode to the elders. This is an ode to the grandmas who put us onto cod liver oil. Now, I never grew up with cod liver oil, but I've heard the many stories of how disgusting that it is, but also how beneficial it is. And I think that is important for me to have a segment very similar to my OG segment called Heal Yourself. My OG listeners know. And this is just a way to acknowledge the healing from the past, but also the healing of the future. So whether it's cod liver oil or Pilates, there is something that we can share that can help us and support us on our journey through this thing called life. So today's cod liver oil tip is actually about the importance of prayer. And I know that people don't always think about prayer as like a healing tool or a way to get well. But when we think about the way that our ancestors were able to navigate, and not just our ancestors, even people in our own lives, how they are able to navigate the things that they go through, what they experience, they so often talk about prayer. And regardless of who you're praying to, whether it's Jesus Jerome, whether it's Allah, whether it's meditation and Buddha, or whether it's your ancestors, that means that there is something so important about getting it out and having faith and belief and trust in something bigger than you. And not only bigger than you, but something that can help support you. So I was in Misa recently, and one of the spirits came down. We were doing a Misa for a friend of mine, and she's from the South. And this, she had a lot of Southern folks come through, and this Southern preacher man came down, and he was just talking about, and again, this Misa space is not necessarily Christian centric. It has Christian elements to it, but of course we're calling on spirits and stuff. That's not in the Bible. But he came down and he was like, y'all are doing all this. This is fine. But have y'all prayed? Like, we need to pray. Do you see what's going on in y'all's lifetime? He was talking about different things that he's been through. But he's like, it is faith that will pull you through. And this isn't just blind faith. This isn't just faith in something that we don't have. But it is that deep soul belief that we're able to make it, that we can push through. And faith, regardless of how people want to talk about it, especially people who have left Christianity or feel like, or rightfully have Christian trauma. Me, particularly Catholic trauma. People who rightfully have Christian trauma, I think sometimes we want to turn away from prayer, or we feel like, no, I don't want to do anything that was associated to that mess, or I don't want to be a part of that, or that was all lies, or it was abuse. Yeah, all that happened, but that was not prayer. And if you want to figure out how you're going to get through life, you need to have belief in something. Even atheists have to believe in something. That doesn't mean that you have to go to Jesus or God or whatever, but you gonna have to get your behind in that prayer closet and talk to somebody. Meaning something bigger, not even just your therapist. Yes, your friends. I think friends are healing. I think community is healing. Absolutely. That could be another cod liver oil in the future. But prayer is, I'm telling y'all, that is what will save us. The clarity that happens through prayer, the visceral feeling that we get when we're saying something aloud, that I don't know what to do. I need the thing that is bigger than me to help me. Like, we have to get into our closets, and we also have to figure out how we can pray in a way that is not, sometimes we are kind of taught to be like, oh, like, I don't know what's going on. I need you. No, we have to start saying and demanding what we want in prayer. Respectfully, of course, but you gotta like puff up your chest to pray. You have to get loud about what you're praying for. You have to be direct and clear about what you're praying for. Of course, you want to go always with gratitude. Somebody asked me in a reading lately, they were like, I don't know how to pray. And I was like, well, baby, you're going to have to figure it out. But I said, just go in there, give thanks. Start with giving thanks. Start with your gratitude. Don't nobody want no bratty sub in prayer, except God kind of likes when I'm a bratty sub, but that's another episode. Go in there, say your prayers, give your thanks, and say what you need. Get down to the number. You struggling, you need $400, say, I need $400. They'll be like, please no, I need some money. Or I need someone who will help me. Or I need my partner to get it together. I need to be sweeter to them. I need them to be nicer. Or I need the strength to leave. Get clear about what it is you want, and do not forget the power of prayer. I don't care what tradition that you're in. I don't care who you're praying to. As long as it's somebody or an entity or being that loves you and will support you, lock in. Do not abandon prayer. I'm so serious about that, because it is a medicine. Prayer is medicine. Communication and belief and faith is a medicine. Again, not a blind faith into things that people won't answer for you and just some big God that secretly hates you. No. But nobody said to abandon faith. Because if you ain't gonna have no faith, you might as well drop dead, child. Because what's the point in waking up? I mean, what is the point? What's the point? So if you are choosing to take part in this timeline, in this life, in this world, in this society, in this climate, find that closet, open that door, get out if you need your Bible, get it out. If you need your Torah, I don't know what y'all read. If you need your oil, I don't know. Get in that closet and lock in, because you're going to need it. We're going to need it. We do need it. Do not abandon faith and prayer. And that's today's call liver oil, y'all. Let me know what y'all think about that. How are we feeling with prayers? Let me know in the comments. Are y'all praying people? Do you like to pray? Do you hate prayer? Is prayer traumatizing? We're going to have to work through it. But we can, because I've felt how you have felt before, and we can get through it. Okay, y'all. So our last segment today is Dear Juju. Now, this was one of my favorite segments last season, and it's been really nice to read y'all letters. So Dear Juju is a segment where y'all write into me at dearjuju@yahoo.com. Yes, Yahoo, very vintage, because Gmail was playing with me. So dearjuju@yahoo.com, you write in your letters what you want advice on. Now, it doesn't just have to be, how do I build an altar? What do my ancestors think? Of course, I will always answer those questions, but it can be about relationships. It can be about love. It can be about your boss. It can be about what should I do in this situation. It could be you cheated on somebody. You want to know what I think. This is where you are able to write into me, and I will give you my loving advice. And of course, with a little sprinkle of medicinal and magical and juju in it. So our letter today with Dear Juju goes as follows. Dear Juju, recently my friend group and I have been having some disagreements over super small things, but they just sort of snowball into something bigger as time goes on. I've been kind of feeling like I need a break from them or to leave the group altogether. The problem is, we've known each other for such a long time. I'm worried I won't know how to function without them in a way. When do you know you have outgrown your friend group? Signed, they actually didn't say who they're from, but I'm going to say questioning friends. So thank you so much for writing that letter in. I think that's a great letter, and something that I think a lot of people are going through, and something that I've gone through. I don't know if I think that I've outgrown, I think is an interesting word to use, but I think sometimes our times are up. You know, some people are, what they say, with you for a season. Some people are there for a reason. Some people are there for so many different things. So I think we all have separated ourselves from different friend groups over time. I'm not friends with the same people I was in middle school. You know, actually I do have some middle school friends. Shout out to y'all. But you know, people change. People are interested in different things. People don't want to talk about certain things anymore. And maybe those friends talk about the same things, you know, and I think that's okay. But one thing that I want to really uplift is your intuition here. I think that you know that it is time for you to move on. And I don't even think your question to me is how to know if you've outgrown. I think you know, you just don't know how to go about that process. Because if you're asking these questions, you're writing into me, I can tell you've thought about it. And that's, you know, spiritually, intuition wise, it is time to move on from them. And I don't think that that always means that it has to be negative, that it has to be malicious or nasty. I mean, y'all are having a lot of disagreements, which I get. But I think this is just one of those things where you have to have a little bit more faith in yourself, and knowing that there are billions of people in the world, and you have not met everyone who will love you, and you have not met everyone who you will love. And so remember that, remember that as you matriculate through life, it may be hard. You may have to grieve. Like any breakup, you have to go through a grieving process. You're going to be sad. Even if y'all ain't shit together, you still going to miss them. Even if y'all argue every day, you're going to miss the arguments. That's just a part of the experience. So don't feel like, oh no, I'm sad about it, should I hit them up? That's a natural part of what it means to grieve relationships. And friendships can sometimes be even harder than, leaving your nigga. So I can only imagine what that feels like, but I'm telling you, you have everything that you need. If it's time to move on, you can. Lock in with there are other people in your life that you feel like you need to lean on more, whether that's family or other friends, do that. And maybe if you want to communicate with them, hey y'all, I think that, just say, I'm maybe taking some space. You could do that. We've been arguing a lot. I'm taking some space. And figure out what it is that you really want. Kind of parse through your own feelings. But no, you have what you need, and it's okay to move on. It is okay to move on. And in those moments, whether this be a partner or friends, it can feel so devastating. It's just like, I don't even know how I'm going to get through this. And then weeks go by, then months go by, then years go by. And you be like, oh, dang, I remember when I used to feel like I couldn't move on. And now I have moved on. It's just like you just remember how down bad you are. But then one day you're not down bad. So hold on to that. Grieve, let go, maybe write a letter to help yourself. And you can move on. But I thank you so much for writing that letter in. And I'm also wishing so much abundance and happiness and love in your life and new friendships that align with you. And I look forward to reading the rest of y'all letters. No judgment. You can tell me anything. No judgment. Wow, we did it. We're back. We're done. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me over the years. A Little Juju podcast started in 2018, and for some reason y'all still want to hear me talk. I am so grateful. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. We're back, y'all. Every Wednesday we'll be here same time. You can listen on Spotify to A Little Juju podcast. You can actually watch me on Spotify. All the other platforms, it will be just audio only. Unless you head on over to YouTube, you can get the videos. Now, if you want no commercials, no annoying ads, that's where you can join the Patreon, where you have ad-free listens and watching and all of that. Of course, you can find me on Instagram at it's Juju Bae, ITSJUJUBAE. And you can also find me on IG at A Little Juju Podcast, spelled out just how it sounds, A Little Juju Podcast. Keep up with the conversation. Tag me when y'all listen. Be like, she back, y'all. Oh my God. I need y'all to hype it up. This is our season. So again, I'll see you on the Patreon. I'll see you online. I'll see you on the things. Follow me at It's Juju Bae. And remember, y'all, all you need is a little juju. We are so back. Bye. All you need is a little juju. All you need is a little juju. All you need is a little juju.